for example H, there's a trick that if you break water into hydrogen and hydroxide, sometimes that makes it easier for you to count. So you'll start your reaction, or start balancing the exact same way, where you make your column over the arrow to separate your reactants from your products. So if you notice that you have both hydroxide and hydrogen separate from that on one side of the equation, you can replace this H2O with hydrogen and hydroxide separate, and we'll count them separately. So then this helps us if we list hydroxide as the polyatomic in the middle when we're counting our atoms. So if I have lithium, I'll list that first, and then I'll list my hydrogen, and separate from that I list my hydroxide, because I have hydroxide and hydrogen on that side. Again, just like the other trick that we did up here, if this confuses you more, it's always okay to just count the single elements by themselves. So you could just list all the hydrogens together, list the oxygens together, and that would be fine. But you would have to remember to list 3 total hydrogens for this side. Then I would count that I have 1 lithium on my reactant side, I have 1 hydrogen on this side that's not part of hydroxide, and then I have 1 hydroxide on this side. On my product side of the equation, I have 1 lithium, I have 2 hydrogens that are not part of hydroxide, and then I have 1 hydroxide. So you really treat your polyatomics as though they're their own thing. So even though technically hydrogen is in hydroxide, we're not going to double count that hydrogen. My lithiums then are not balanced. My lithiums are balanced, my hydrogens are not. And so I would use a coefficient on my reactant side in front of the compound that contains hydrogen. So a 2 would help me here. Bless you. 2 times 1 hydrogen gives me 2 hydrogens on my reactant side. 2 times 1 hydroxide gives me 2 hydroxides on my reactant side. You can't multiply your coefficient by just one thing. It has to be multiplied by the entire compound that comes behind it. So even though my hydroxides were already balanced, we messed that up when we balanced our hydrogens, and that's okay. We can just go fix it. So then I would come over to my product side, and hydroxide is now unbalanced. So a coefficient of 2 in front of LiOH would help me balance it. 2 times 1 lithium gives me 2 lithium atoms, and 2 times 1 hydroxide gives me 2 hydroxides. In front of my lithium on the reactant side now, an easy fix is just use a coefficient of 2, and then that changes that to 2, and then everything is balanced with 2 each. So in my final blank, now that everything is balanced, the last thing I put here is a what? 1. So if I recognize these coefficients on a multiple choice test, it would say 2, 2, 2, 1. 2, 2, 2, 1.